Good. How was the after party? I left early. I had a presentation to do, which apparently is this one. Anybody hungover this morning? The room's full. It's not like Edge, where nobody turns up. Whoops. Oh, there we go. All right. I am crazy excited to be here. I have spent 42 years writing software. And finally, I think we've built a product that you might like, and that your customers might like. And it's not about building a product, because anybody could build one, but it's a bit about a journey. And I wanted to take you through it and show you how we got to the point we got to. And it started with the Amiga. Anybody old enough to remember the Amiga? Show of hands. And the Amiga ran a kind of basic called Amos, if anybody remembers. And there was an application on the Amiga called Nile, the non-intelligent Amos language learner. Anybody remember Nile? You can look it up. Nile was really cool. You typed in words, it remembered how words fitted together, and it was a chatbot. Unintelligible, but as kids we spent hours thinking the computer was talking back to us. Fast forward now, we've got ChatGPT, kind of the same thing, but with GPUs and a bit bigger. So that's part of the puzzle. And I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to give you live demos. And unlike Brad, I'm actually going to give you stuff today, not just the gift of time. Sorry. Sorry, Brad. Anyway, so we're going to give you a product. We're going to give you an AI help desk. Everything you saw in my demos, and those are my only demos, because you don't want to watch me do demos. Everything you saw there, you get for free today to take home and play with and show your kids. You also, if you come to our stand, you can pick up a bottle of free deadly water. It says deadly, that's an Aboriginal term for good. It's not going to kill you, honestly. I thought I gave Brad. Anyway, moving on. So we started off with a non-intelligent Amos language learner. We're now with ChatGPT, part of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is data. How are we going to store data? When we think about customers' business processes, when we think about automating things, a lot of it's about data. Now, databases have been around for a while. Anybody used one? Anyone used a database before? A few of you have. But the problem with databases, at least a lot of them, is you need expertise to build and run and configure and optimize and operate and index and do all those sorts of things. Back in 2000, when I was working for Microsoft, we had that problem. I was working in an area that dealt with systems management. And systems management, you never really know what it is you're going to be managing. It could be a printer here, a Cisco switch there, a Dell computer here, all sorts of stuff. And we came up with a concept for the configuration management database called the meta-meta model. The meta-meta model is a self-describing, self-extensible schema which sits on top of a relational database. And you go, how's it talking about that? Well, those systems are actually the background of, obviously, a bunch of system set of products, but Dynamics CRM, Salesforce, all of them, you have this extensible database. You can add fields to it, it still performs. You can add types, it still performs. And we've taken one of those and we've baked that into our product. But that's not everything. If you look at tools like Zapier or Power Automate or those tools, they're really good at automating things. But automation isn't the whole thing. If anybody automated a process ever for a customer, a few of you can never automate the whole thing. There's always got to be a human in the loop somewhere. And there's a reason that we get our junior developers to write a to-do app first, because everyone thinks it's easy and Mickey Mouse. But getting tasks and task queuing and task allocation right and making that come together is another really important piece. And we've struggled with this. I built a system back in 2011. Right? Because I built systems really. In 2011, I was standing on stage talking to everybody about the cloud and how it would be a good thing, and was getting booed off stage because apparently small business server was way better. But after being booed off stage, I went, you know, I've worked in consulting for years. I've done lots of migrations, and traditionally we migrate from an unknown environment to an unknown environment. And the job of your solution architects is to document the unknown environment over here and write up and sell the unknown environment over here. But with Office 365, it's a known environment. So we're going unknown to known. So I bet I can automate that. So what did I use? Dynamics CRN. 10 years ago, Dynamics CRN was an exciting beast to do things with. And so I tried to automate the entire onboarding process for Office 365. So I ended up with something that kind of worked, but I kept having to reach out to the customer and ask them for more information, like their passwords and stuff that they put into a form and I got in trouble for, and all sorts of things. But the solution we got working felt to me like it was held together with gaffer tape and bits of string and toilet rolls. And if anybody British in the audience? Yes, the Blue Peter Christmas candy. Yes, okay, that kind of thing. So for those of you who are across that. So it didn't feel to me very, very robust. So about 5 years later, Power Automate appeared. I loved Power Automate. Power Automate was cool. My whole business ran on Power Automate. And then I sold the business, and my user account was removed. And every one of my flows stopped working. Every demo, every response, every bit of automation, can't license my product anymore. It was a nightmare. I've got to solve this. I've got to find a way to fix it. So coming up to about 2.5 years ago, I'm sitting in a meeting room with a guy who runs an insurance broker. And he says, "So Smartass, what can you do for my business?" And the way he was working was he had all these people in the Philippines offshoring, which Dominic's going to talk to you about afterwards, because they're cheap. That's why they did them. I'm not saying they're cheap, it's just cheaper than they're doing it. And they're all typing in these things into computers and getting it wrong. Now, when you get insurance wrong for buildings, things go really wrong really quickly when somebody tries to make a claim. Imagine a building like this, there's a flood, you try and make a claim, they go, "You're not insured." "What do you mean I'm not insured?" "Well, Jenny in Manila forgot to press the right button and now you're not insured." "Right, big problem." "Right, well, it's a big problem." So I went, "Big me, let's build a system to solve that problem." So we built one, and it was cool. But it wasn't something I could take to the channel. So over the last year, I've decided to build something I could take to a channel. Now I'd like you to do something I've never asked people to do in a session before. Grab your mobile phone. Right? And I want you to go to your email application, and I'd like you all, and this is really frightening for those of you who know my technology, to send an email to support@worldofworkflows.com. And I want you to ask Florence any question you want. If it's about partnership, if it's about sales, if it's about pricing, if it's about how do I build a workflow that does this, how do I construct a database that does this. And you can ask it any question you want. And what's going to happen is it's going to go in one workflow is going to pick up the email. It's going to put it through ChatGPT functions. Now, how many of you have used ChatGPT? Right, cracking personal productivity tool, just like Copilot. But I don't think we're about personal productivity. How many of you have used ChatGPT in production to automate a real business process? One. Right? There's the difference. So what we're going to do here is GPT functions are going to look at that, work out where to escalate it to. First level support will respond to you. Takes about 5 minutes. When first level support is finished, they'll escalate to another team, and that expert will respond to you in their area of expertise. And if you really want to test it, you can reply to that email and see if that works. But I haven't tested that, so don't. But that's an AI help desk, not just first level support, but going all the way up. Let me give you another idea. Deadly water. Why are we doing deadly water? Well, this is provided by a group called iSupply. It's an Aboriginal company that goes up in the Kimberley. Deadly water, 50% of every cost of every one of these bottles goes back to helping native peoples in the Kimberley keep that culture going. Because their culture is at risk. Kids are leaving, they're losing the language, they're losing the song lines. It's really important to support things like that. But even more, we like supporting in all sorts of ways. iSupply, Aboriginal organisation, applies for grants. How many people have ever applied for a grant? It's easy, isn't it? No. Well, what we did is we're using our tool plus OpenAI technology to apply for grants on their behalf. We've been doing it for 2 months. They've been successful in 4 grants. It's taken an hour, right? Those types of things are really cool. So please come and get a Deadly Water support me. Support the guys up in the Kimberley, it's important to me. So, and that's free, and that's a real gift that you can take home and show your kids, unlike a gift of time. So, Deadly Water iSupply. Let me use another example. I'm a bit of a football tragic. About 10 years ago, I needed to do something outside my comfort zone. You get it, right? I became a football referee, if you can believe that. Right? So becoming a football referee, I ended up being in the club, and I have lots of things I have to do in the club. And one of them is send an email every Friday to the first teams and the last teams they practice. the nets and take down the nets, and it's a total pain in the butt skip. So, what workflows comes along, I use the API of the management system, I put together some workflows, and now they automatically get emails telling them when to put the nets down or pick them up. Save me 3 hours a week. Right? Next one is it looks at all the things, all the events that happened over the weekend and writes a newsletter automatically. Using OpenAI technology, I don't have to do everything. Every Monday, the entire club gets a newsletter saying what happened over the weekend. It's kind of exciting. Anyway, that's that. Those are some stories of some things we can do. We'll talk about some customers as we go through, but there's just some examples. Anybody got their email back yet? Or if you're all crashed my system with all your email, let me know what you do. Right, or don't. Right, just, oh no, it's great there, thanks, yeah. Okay, so, the core components of a system that helps you automate business processes is not actually around AI itself, you plug it in, but you need to consider these three. You need to consider tasks, because there are no processes really which can just totally not involve a human. Right? Whether you want to checkpoint what's coming out, whether you want to add some ethics to your AI. So a human, before you go and create that user, because you've got an email from the CEO saying please create a user, maybe you want a human to check it's not some kind of evil hacker. Those sorts of things. Data. Storing, reporting on, retrieving data, doing it in an efficient way that doesn't require DBAs is really important. Right? You've got to get that bit right. And last but not least, the process. Jim, over in the corner there, has spent the last year building processes. Now, Jim's not a software developer. Well, he sent me some stuff with notes, but that's not software development. Right? But Jim has spent the last year building workflows to do all sorts of things, and you better chat to him about it, because I'm really excited, and not just because he works for the company. So what have we got? What have we got out of this? We built this software to run anywhere. Everybody says, Nick, it's just another SaaS application. No, it's not. I think SaaS is really cool, but I don't think SaaS is necessarily really cool in this place. Right? So we'll run on Azure, AWS, GCP. If Brad's in the room, Azure's better. Right? We'll run on your Mac, on your PC. There's a free version we're running on your laptop right now. I think that's really important, because some of the bigger customers we talk to don't want stuff leaving their environment. Government private clouds, whether it's et cetera, et cetera. So SaaS is cool, but SaaS doesn't have to do it. I think you can come and challenge me, actually send an email to support@globalworkflows.com with your business problem, and it will tell you whether it can solve it or not. I think it can solve most things. I'll do a stupid example, right? I'm building this help desk for this session, and I got stuck. Right? I didn't know where to go, and I'm there at home, and I'm getting cranky, right? And the kids are there, shut up, it's working. And I'm trying to make this work, and so I sent an email to support@globalworkflows.com. How do I solve doing this end-tier escalation thing in Modern Workflows? And it came back and said, do it like this. Okay, this here, it's very inception, it was kind of weird. Right. Extensions, right? I've got no idea what people want to plug things into, so we built an SDK to extend things. So any devs in the room, you can extend it. But more important, how many people have used Power Automate Paradox? A few of you. And those of you who have, how easy is it to transfer something from one customer environment to another customer environment? It's super simple, isn't it? You just copy, paste, open everything up, change everything again. It's really hard. So one of the things we wanted to build in was the ability to package up your solutions and share them. So everything you saw today, come and see me, we'll give to you. In fact, you can download it from the website, whatworkflows.com. So those things are all available and free, and it's free, and it's kind of cool. You can do that. Right. We have a partner program which we're launching today. I've said that for 3 days now, but today I'm really launching it on stage. Yay! So it's free, unlike time. It really is free, right? If you sign up as a partner, which is free, and there's no obligation, you get to use our full edition for 3 years, free, no questions asked. After the 3 years, you have to sell something, and then you can keep using it. Okay? The margins, now I copied lots of things from Microsoft. The whole way we could work like a co-pilot, copied from Microsoft. Spectacular margins, I did not copy from Microsoft. Somebody woke up, didn't they? So, spectacular margins, they're really cool. And we spend lots of time with you because this is new, and I know it's hard to get people on board, to get people using it. We spend time to teach you how to do it. When we need to build new workflows for customers, we commonly get a work experience kit, because they can pick it up and deliver things in 5 days with their eyes closed. They need to be a little smart, not the really working through its skin, but kind of, I'm really excited working through its skin. Great, right? That works for us. So it doesn't require a whole ton of skills, and you'll have the ability to register your deals so that you don't all trip over each other. We're not through distributing yet. Ingram, Dicker, anybody else, you come to me later, we'll have a conversation, but we're not through distribution at the moment, so we're going direct to partner and giving away stuff, because I think this is cool. Right. This is where you apply for the partner program. Let me talk to you about some cool customers who are doing cool things. Media organisations shall remain nameless. I have no idea who they are. They run events and stuff. Anyway, media organisation, we're doing a piece of work with them. They receive press releases from vendors all the time. I didn't believe how many press releases they received. They received a crazy amount of press releases. So what we did was we looked at the writings of each of the journalists, and we looked at what kind of press releases they responded to, and we crafted a ChatGPT prompt. And so what the system does is it reads an inbox, looks for emails, grabs them, grabs the PDF, parses it, sends the text to ChatGPT and functions, and works out which journalist they think should just write this one up. It then goes to another bit of ChatGPT, which writes an article in the style of that journalist and puts a draft up ready for review. Right? Saving crazy time. You're not getting rid of the journalist, you're just saving a bunch of time so they can go edit something that's already there. That's a kind of really cool, funky scenario, right? And it's embedded in their business process. So we talked about iSupply and their grants. They're still running with that. They call it the Dream Maker. Right? It's kind of cool. I don't know if you know much about Aboriginal grants, but they have to, you don't just apply, you don't just go online and go, no. You have to do the first application that goes to the government body, for the government body to invite you to apply to the grant. So those first applications they just find really hard. It's like, sum up your entire organisation in 50 words. It's very good, and it's Aboriginal, doesn't seem to get the eyeballs. So using tech like ChatGPT to do that, embedded with a process, means all they have to do is log on to your UI, click a few buttons, and off you go. It just works. Am I making sense? Sure. Okay, grab your phones, sign up for the partner program. It's free, and I give you free stuff. That's kind of my content today. I was going to see if we've got any questions from the audience, because I love those. Someone must have one, otherwise I'm going to ask myself one. Excellent. Question at the back. Have we got a roving mic? Yes, the gentleman there with his hand. Put your hand up there. We need the mic. I can't hear you. I'm deaf as well as blind. I'm a referee, God's sake.
And in New South Wales. Is it QMS 9001 compliant?
QMS, ISO 9001 or QMS 9001?
QMS.
No, not yet. It's new. I'm getting there, but no, not yet. Damn, that was a nasty question. Anybody else? Did I win poker? Yes, I did. Apart from the gentleman in the room won it. Yes. Carry on.
Can you take a PDF through your engine and rewrite it as a separate article?
Yes, absolutely. You can take a PDF, read it, rewrite it as a separate article. But this is where you've got to be really careful, right? This is where ethical concerns really get in the way. I've been in software development for a long time, and I've done a little bit of sales, but I always feel dirty after a sales call. I think you have to be really careful about being very honest with your customers that you're using AI to generate something. If you were to take a PDF, totally change it, it looks exactly the same, but it's AI generated, I think, and most of the AI logs would agree with you, you should preface at the bottom that this has been altered with artificial intelligence. I think you can't just do it with an individual person. You can't just do it and make it go out like that. I think that's important. Cool. More questions? We've won that. Well, gentlemen's hand up, pink shirt. Nice shirt, sir.
Thank you very much. ConnectWise managed?
Yes, we have a plugin for ConnectWise. We have one for Ninja One, we have one for Autotask, we have one for Microsoft Graph, one for ChatGPT, the utilities one, which is my favourite one, and there's a load more on the way, and there's an SDK to build your own, and you can talk to any REST API.
Thank you.
Yes.
what language do you support? JavaScript, I assume?
What language does support from what we're looking
For custom workflows, things you don't have nodes or workflows for occasionally.
Okay, good. So inbuilt into the application at the moment is JavaScript and Liquid are your two languages for doing loops and conversions, etc. That's in 1.6 and 1.7 we're putting PowerShell in, because I think that's really important. But effectively, because we've got a C# SDK to build your own nodes, you can write it in C# or you can write it in F# or you can write it in COBOL.NET. So anything that compiles to a .NET language, you can write your own nodes and extend it.
Right, just one follow-up question. You also have access to local server processing via SSH, for example?
Yes, we turned that off by default in the personal edition, but in the business edition you can enable that and turn it on. We kind of config that out to stop people shooting themselves in the foot, but certainly if you want to use it in a type of systems management scenario, those hooks are all there and able to be turned on.
Thank you.
No worries. And it's actually incredibly lightweight as well, so if you actually wanted to build a workflow and deliver the entire app down to a device as a local agent, it uses about 90 to 120k when it's in normal operation of RAM, so it's lightweight as simple. Right, any more, or am I going to also give you the gift of time? I'm sorry, I'm going to get the double whammy here. Just one more there, Astrid.
What exactly did Brad do wrong?
Sorry, Astrid, I missed that question.
So what exactly did Brad do wrong?
What exactly?
Did Brad do wrong?
Oh, Brad didn't do anything wrong, just we've been presenting against each other for years, so, no, he called me the second best presenter of the morning, so, I don't know, Right, I am going to give you the gift of time. I think that was awesome. Come and find us at stand 2, grab a deadly water, have a great CRN. I think before I finish, no one's said this yet, but the CRN team, I've been coming to these events for years, what you can tell. This event is one of the best I've been to. I think CRN have done an amazing job. I think a round of applause for those guys is exactly the way. We're ready back to you. Thank you very much.